We're anchored somewhere by Hudson, starting some sponge exploration. Currently we're doing some scuba. We're going to pull out the hookah next and see what we could find. We'll keep you posted. It is a very, very flat, dead day out on the water, as you can see. I don't know if it'll show, there's sponges right under us here. But yeah, again, outside of Hudson, not a drop of wind. That's the kind of day you want a sponge because you could see under the water perfectly. So what we have going on is he's looking for sponges and he's going to cut them with the bread knife. They actually regenerate and grow back. If you have a typical fishing license, you're allowed to get up to 10 sponges per trip, 3 miles offshore. So as you see, he's probably going to come across one right here. So there's our first culprit here. Take the sponge, give it a cut, boom. First sponge in the bag. Okay, so far we already found a few sponges here. Let's go ahead and take a look. When they come out of the water, they don't look like what you see in the store. They essentially have skin on them. And I'll show you through this process that skin's actually going to rot off like really, really rapidly. The goal isn't to get them out. You want them to start rotting as quickly as possible. This is not commonplace practice, but I just put them in plastic bags and put them in the heat. And you'll see by the time we get back, that skin will be gone. Sponges tend to grow in between areas where there is seagrass and sand or rock. And again, I'm not an expert, but that's just what I've noticed from my observations so far. So I went under. I wanted to point out some things too. When you look at this large sponge coming up, that is called a black ball sponge with a large round part in the middle. Those really have no purpose and reason to harvest. They're not spongy, and they actually have something fish don't like in them, so they're not good for aquariums either. So here's today's catch, if you want to call it that. Notice they still have skin, but some of them started to come off already. Perfect example, starting to see through this one. You could kind of see hair on them now, which is actually their exoskeleton. So the skin's already coming off. All of these sponges, especially this one, is extremely warm. So once you collect your sponges and you get back or the next day, what you do is you just take the hose, give it a blast. Obviously this is smoother if you're not holding a camera. Then you want to squish it. And what's happening is that that goop is essentially the sponges, insides and skin coming off. And here's the sponges after like 15 minutes of cleaning. And again, I just hosed them and squished them and hosed them and squished them. And yeah, that's step one for removing essentially the skin and organs. So here's the sponges after about 18 hours since they were pulled. You can see for the most part the skin is gone. My favorite one here, I just want to mention, is, well, two of them really. So this wool sponge, that is going to be a beautiful bath sponge. I probably could have just bought one at the store for $9, but that was more fun. Something else to mention, just this is my observations thus far. These sponges are kind of tricky. Just when you see them under the water, the grain pattern looks similar to these when they have skin on them. But yeah, this kind of open weave pattern, it doesn't pop back. And actually, if you look, the flies are all over these. Boom. And there's probably some, but not as many flies here, because these are done rotting already. These, you can't really get the guts out of them. I'm sure there's a way, but they're not really practical for anything that a person would use them for. So here's the sponges 4 days later. I also have one big one I put back in a mesh bag and I'm hanging off the boat to try to clean some skin off. But what we're going to do now is we're going to plop these in this bucket, which has some lemongrass oil, kind of just for smell. You don't have to use that. And a little laundry detergent. And I'm going to let them soak in clean, fresh water for probably 2 to 5 days. Here's the sponges after about 10 days of processing. The second step to the processing was I put them all in a bucket of water, and once or twice a day I'd take them out, squeeze them out, and refill the water. Helped clean them up. This big one here took a little extra work to get the skin off. I actually tossed it in a mesh bag and left it in the salt water for a few days, and that let the rest of the skins fall off. But here you have it. Some hard-earned work here.